Nathan Hayes, a seasoned soldier with years of service on the frontier, trudged through the dense alien jungle, the beams of his flashlight cutting through the misty undergrowth. The air was thick with the scent of unfamiliar flora, and strange sounds echoed in the distance. He moved cautiously, every sense heightened. Suddenly, his scanner emitted a soft beep, indicating a distress signal not listed in the colony's logs. Nathan's brow furrowed as he adjusted the device, trying to pinpoint the source. Following the signal, Nathan soon stumbled upon a small clearing. In the center lay an alien girl, her skin a deep shade of emerald and her body covered in intricate, luminescent patterns. She was clearly injured, and as he approached, he noticed she was also heavily pregnant. Her eyes, wide with fear and pain, locked onto his. "Stay calm," Nathan said, lowering his rifle and approaching slowly. He reached into his pack, pulling out a medical kit. "I'm here to help." The girl flinched but didn't move away. Nathan gently inspected her injuries. She had a deep gash on her leg and bruises covering her arms. "This looks bad," he muttered more to himself. He started cleaning the wound, applying a disinfectant that made her wince. "My name is Nathan," he said, trying to distract her from the pain. "What's yours?" "Zara," she replied, her voice soft but clear. I need to get away." Nathan nodded, understanding the urgency in her voice. "I'll get you to the settlement. We have medical facilities there." As he bandaged her leg, he heard rustling in the bushes nearby. His hand instinctively went to his rifle. Out of the shadows emerged several small, predatory creatures, their eyes glowing menacingly. Nathan quickly positioned himself between Zara and the creatures, firing a warning shot. The sound echoed through the clearing, momentarily startling the creatures. "Stay behind me," Nathan ordered, his voice steady. The creatures, undeterred, lunged at him. Nathan's training took over as he fired precisely, taking down the leading predator. The others hesitated, growling, before retreating into the shadows. Nathan turned back to Zara, who was watching him with a mixture of awe and fear. "We need to move now," he said, helping her to her feet. Supporting her weight, they began their trek towards the settlement. The journey was grueling, with Nathan constantly on alert for any signs of danger. Zara's condition was deteriorating, her steps growing more labored with each passing hour. Nathan offered words of encouragement, trying to keep her spirits up. "You're doing great. Just a little further," he would say, even as his own strength waned. As night fell, they found temporary shelter in a small cave. Nathan set up a makeshift camp, using his thermal blanket to keep Zara warm. He shared his rations with her, trying to make her comfortable. "Why are you helping me?" Zara asked, her voice barely a whisper. Nathan paused, considering his answer. "Because it's the right thing to do," he finally said. "No one should be left to suffer alone." Zara nodded, tears welling up in her eyes. She began to tell him her story, how she had fled from an oppressive regime on her home planet, seeking refuge for her unborn child. Her voice wavered as she recounted the horrors she had witnessed, the persecution, and the desperate journey that had led her to this remote corner of the planet. Nathan listened intently, his resolve to protect her solidifying. "We'll make it to the settlement," he assured her. "And we'll find a way to keep you safe." They resumed their journey at first light, Zara's condition improving slightly after a night's rest. However, as they neared the outskirts of the settlement, a sense of unease settled over Nathan. Smoke was rising from the buildings in the distance, and the usually bustling perimeter was eerily silent. Nathan quickened his pace, keeping a firm grip on Zara. As they approached, he realized the settlement had been attacked. Structures were damaged, and the signs of a recent battle were evident. His heart sank at the thought of what they might find inside. Entering the settlement, Nathan saw the aftermath of the attack: injured settlers, damaged infrastructure, and a palpable sense of despair. He guided Zara towards the medical facility, his mind racing with questions about what had happened and what their next steps should be. Nathan and Zara entered the settlement, greeted by a scene of devastation. The normally bustling outpost was in disarray, buildings scarred by recent combat. Nathan's heart sank as he guided Zara through the chaos, searching for the medical facility. "Stay close," he instructed, keeping a vigilant eye on their surroundings. The settlers moved about, some tending to the wounded, others reinforcing defenses. They received wary glances from all directions, especially at Zara's unfamiliar appearance. Commander Richards, a stern figure with a grizzled beard and piercing eyes, approached them. "Who is this?" he demanded, his gaze fixed on Zara. Nathan squared his shoulders. "This is Zara. She's injured and needs medical attention. She's not a threat." Richards eyed Nathan skeptically. "You bring an alien into our midst, Hayes. You better have a good reason." "She's fleeing from her oppressors," Nathan explained. "They're after her and her unborn child. We need to help her." Richards hesitated but finally nodded. "Get her to the infirmary. But she stays under guard." Nathan led Zara to the medical facility, where a team of medics quickly took over. Dr. Emily Hughes, the settlement's chief physician, assessed Zara's condition with a professional detachment. "She's in bad shape, but we can stabilize her," she said, glancing at Nathan. "You did well to bring her here." Nathan felt a surge of relief as he watched the medics work. Despite the tension, Zara's presence seemed to galvanize the settlers, giving them a sense of purpose. Nathan knew the real test was yet to come, convincing the settlement to protect Zara against the imminent threat. As the day wore on, Nathan took stock of the settlement's defenses. The attack had left them vulnerable, and it was clear the enforcers would return. He called a meeting with the settlement's leaders, including Richards and several key personnel. "We need to prepare for another assault," Nathan began. "The enforcers will come back, and they'll be more determined than ever." Richards nodded. "Agreed. What do you propose?" Nathan outlined a plan to fortify their defenses and set up traps around the perimeter. "We need to be proactive. If we can catch them off guard, we stand a better chance." The leaders agreed, and the settlement buzzed with renewed activity as preparations began. Nathan took charge of organizing the defenses, working tirelessly alongside the settlers. Zara, despite her condition, insisted on helping where she could, earning the respect of those around her. One evening, as Nathan and Zara took a brief respite, she shared more about her past. "My people have been oppressed for generations," she said, her voice tinged with sorrow. "They see my child as a threat because it represents a new beginning, something they can't control." Nathan listened, his resolve strengthening. "We'll protect you and your child," he promised. "No matter what." Their moment of quiet was interrupted by the sound of alarms. Nathan sprang to his feet, adrenaline surging. "They're here," he said, rushing out to coordinate the defense. The night erupted into chaos as the enforcers launched their attack. Nathan's strategic preparations paid off, as traps and fortified positions slowed the enemy's advance. He fought alongside the settlers, his leadership and combat skills turning the tide in their favor. Zara, despite her injuries, provided critical support, guiding the settlers through the chaos. Her presence inspired them, infusing them with a sense of hope and determination. Nathan couldn't help but admire her strength. As the battle raged, Nathan found himself face to face with the leader of the enforcers, a formidable figure clad in advanced armor. The two clashed in a brutal fight, each blow resonating with the weight of their respective causes. Nathan's training and resolve eventually gave him the upper hand. With a final, decisive strike, he incapacitated the enemy leader, signaling the end of the battle. The enforcers, leaderless and demoralized, retreated into the night. Breathing heavily, Nathan surveyed the aftermath. The settlement had sustained damage, but they had prevailed. He made his way to Zara, who was surrounded by grateful settlers. Their eyes met, and in that moment, Nathan knew their bond had only strengthened. As dawn broke, Nathan gathered the settlers for a debriefing. "We've won this battle, but the war is far from over," he said. "We must stay vigilant and united." The settlers nodded, their faces reflecting a newfound sense of purpose. Nathan turned to Zara, offering a reassuring smile. "We'll get through this together," he said. Nathan moved through the settlement, checking on the defensive measures they had put in place. The settlers worked tirelessly, reinforcing barricades and setting traps. The air was thick with anticipation, everyone acutely aware that another attack was imminent. Zara had recovered remarkably well and was now assisting Dr. Hughes with the injured. "Nathan, over here!" called a voice. It was Jacob, a young but capable engineer. "We've reinforced the south perimeter, but we're short on personnel. Any chance you can spare a few more hands?" Nathan nodded, appreciating Jacob's diligence. "I'll see what I can do. Keep up the good work." As he walked towards the main command post, Nathan's thoughts were interrupted by the sight of Zara helping an elderly settler. She moved with grace and determination, her resolve evident despite her condition. She looked up and their eyes met, a silent exchange of gratitude and reassurance passing between them. Commander Richards approached, his expression stern but not unfriendly. "We need to talk," he said, motioning for Nathan to follow him to a more private area. Once they were out of earshot, Richards continued, "We've intercepted communications from the enforcers. They're planning a full-scale assault tonight. We need a strategy." Nathan took a deep breath, the weight of responsibility heavy on his shoulders. "We need to draw them into a trap. Use the terrain to our advantage. If we can lure them into the narrow pass on the east side, we can bottleneck their forces and pick them off more efficiently." Richards considered this for a moment before nodding. "It's risky, but it might be our best shot. I'll get the men ready." As the preparations intensified, Nathan took a moment to speak with Zara. "How are you holding up?" he asked, his concern genuine. Zara smiled faintly. "I'm managing. Thank you for everything, Nathan. I owe you my life." Nathan shook his head. "We're in this together. Your fight is our fight now." He hesitated before adding, "Stay close to Dr. Hughes during the battle. If things get too dangerous, get to the underground bunker." Zara nodded, her eyes reflecting both gratitude and determination. "I will." Nightfall brought an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional murmur of the settlers and the distant howls of alien creatures. Nathan took his position at the eastern pass, flanked by Richards and a dozen armed settlers. They waited in tense silence, every sense alert for the first sign of the enemy. Hours seemed to stretch into an eternity before they heard the telltale sounds of the enforcers' approach. Nathan signaled for everyone to stay low and quiet. The enforcers advanced cautiously, their movements precise and coordinated. As they entered the narrow pass, Nathan gave the signal. Explosions erupted, the carefully placed charges collapsing parts of the pass and trapping the enforcers. Gunfire lit up the night as the settlers unleashed their fury on the enemy. Nathan fought with a ferocity born of desperation, his every move calculated to protect those he had sworn to defend. The battle was intense, the air filled with the acrid smell of smoke and the deafening roar of weapons. Nathan moved through the chaos, coordinating attacks and providing support wherever it was needed. The enforcers were relentless, their superior technology and training evident in their tactics. But the settlers, driven by their will to survive and protect their home, fought back with unmatched tenacity. In the midst of the battle, Nathan spotted the enforcer leader, a towering figure directing his troops with ruthless efficiency. Recognizing the critical target, Nathan fought his way through the melee to confront him. The two clashed in a brutal hand-to-hand combat, each strike and counter-strike a test of strength and skill. Nathan's training and experience gave him the edge, and with a decisive move, he managed to disarm and incapacitate the enforcer leader. The fall of their commander caused disarray among the remaining enforcers, and the settlers quickly capitalized on the opportunity, pressing their advantage. As the dust settled, the remaining enforcers were either captured or fled into the night. The settlement, though battered and bruised, had stood its ground. Nathan surveyed the scene, his body aching but his spirit unbroken. They had won a significant battle, but he knew the war was far from over. Richards approached, clapping Nathan on the shoulder. "Good work, Hayes. We couldn't have done it without you." Nathan nodded, acknowledging the compliment, but already thinking about the next steps. "We need to regroup and prepare for the next attack." They'll be back, and we need to be ready. Richards agreed. We'll be ready. With you leading us, we have a fighting chance. Nathan found Zara tending to the wounded, her presence a beacon of calm amidst the chaos. She looked up as he approached, her eyes reflecting a mixture of relief and gratitude. You did it, she said softly. We did it, Nathan corrected, a rare smile touching his lips. But this isn't over. We need to stay vigilant and keep fighting. Zara nodded, her resolve as strong as ever. Together we will. The morning sun cast a soft glow over the battered settlement, illuminating the extent of the previous night's battle. Nathan moved through the camp, checking on the wounded and ensuring the fortifications were being rebuilt. The victory had been hard fought, but he knew it was only a temporary reprieve. Zara was in the medical tent, assisting Dr. Hughes. She moved with purpose, tending to the injured with a calm efficiency that belied her own exhaustion. Nathan approached, his face etched with concern. How are you holding up? He asked quietly. Zara glanced up, a faint smile playing on her lips. I'm all right. These people are strong, Nathan. They don't give up easily. Nathan nodded, his admiration for her growing. We need to talk strategy, he said. We know they'll be back, and we need to be ready. In the central square, the settlement's leaders gathered around a makeshift table. Richard stood at the head, his presence commanding respect. We've survived the night, he began. But we can't rest. The enforcers will regroup and return. We need to take the fight to them. Nathan stepped forward, his voice firm. We need to strike before they can organize another attack. Hit them hard and fast, disrupt their command structure. Richards considered this, then nodded. Agreed. But we'll need every able-bodied person. This isn't just about defense anymore, it's about survival. The settlers responded with grim determination, their faces set with resolve. Nathan outlined a plan to launch a preemptive strike on the enforcers' encampment, leveraging the element of surprise to their advantage. Zara listened intently, her mind racing with the implications. As preparations began, Nathan found a moment alone with Zara. This is dangerous, he said, his voice low. I need you to stay here, out of harm's way. Zara shook her head. I can't just sit here while you all fight. I can help. Nathan's expression softened. I know you can. But your safety, and the safety of your child, is crucial. If something happens to you... Zara reached out, placing a hand on his arm. I understand. But promise me you'll come back. Nathan met her gaze, the unspoken bond between them stronger than ever. I promise. As night fell, the strike team moved out, slipping through the shadows towards the enforcers' encampment. Nathan led the way, every sense heightened. The enforcers' camp was situated in a narrow valley, their guards lax after the previous defeat. Using hand signals, Nathan directed his team into position. They moved with precision, setting charges and preparing for the assault. At his signal, the charges detonated, throwing the camp into chaos. The settlers surged forward, their coordinated attack overwhelming the surprised enforcers. Nathan fought with relentless focus, his every move calculated to maximize impact. The enforcers, caught off guard, struggled to mount a defense. In the midst of the battle, Nathan spotted the enforcer leader, issuing orders and trying to rally his troops. With determination, Nathan advanced, cutting a path through the melee. The two leaders faced off, their confrontation a microcosm of the larger conflict. The fight was brutal, each combatant driven by a fierce resolve. Nathan's experience and training gave him the upper hand, and with a decisive strike, he brought the enforcer leader to his knees. The enforcers, seeing their leader fall, broke ranks and fled into the night, their morale shattered. The settlers regrouped, their victory complete. Nathan stood over the fallen enforcer, his chest heaving. The battle had been won, but the war was not over. He knew they had bought themselves time, but the enforcers would return with reinforcements. Returning to the settlement, Nathan and his team were greeted as heroes. Zara rushed to his side, her eyes filled with relief. You did it, she said, her voice trembling. We did it, Nathan replied, pulling her into an embrace. But we can't let our guard down. Richards approached, his expression one of respect. You've given us a fighting chance, Hayes. We'll need to rebuild, regroup, and prepare for the next battle. Nathan nodded, his resolve unwavering. We'll be ready. Together, we can withstand anything. The settlement began the arduous task of rebuilding, fortified by the shared experience of defending their home. The bond between Nathan and Zara deepened as they worked alongside the settlers, each day bringing new challenges and victories. The path ahead was uncertain, but with unity and determination, they faced it head-on, ready for whatever came next.